Hi, welcome to the Church Split. My name is Will, and let's talk about a topic that'll probably split your church or your friendships, maybe your family, who knows? But today we are going to talk about Black Lives Matter, and this is going to be part one of 3 different videos. In each video, I want to address a different part of this topic. Today's video, I want to discuss the moral of Black Lives Matter, and then I want to approach the institution, which are the people who founded it, Black Lives Matter themselves, and finally the movement. And what I want to do is I want to address this from a biblical worldview, not a political one. Once in a while, I'm told the fact that I shouldn't have bipartisan politics on my channel, and I think we're looking at it the wrong way if we're looking at truth as bipartisan politics. There are things that are just straight truthful too, and that Christians need to get behind or not get behind. So I want to take time to go over this because as a pastor, I really do take seriously the idea of what I should be standing behind and what I should be supporting. Because we are told to stand up for those who are oppressed. Isaiah 1:17 puts this perfectly. It says, "Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, and bring justice to the fatherless, and plead the widow's cause." So we are told here to take a stand, to go do something if something is wrong. If injustice is happening, we need to speak against it. Now that means that in every way, shape, and form, I, Will Hess, am bound to give the truth, which means I need to stand up for any sort of oppression and stand for justice, no matter which direction that takes me. And the Christian needs to remember to do that as well. Sometimes we get so caught up in, well, I'm just going to stick with what Jesus said and not worry about all the social issues. The thing is, all the things that Jesus said is supposed to apply to the social issues. It's supposed to help us navigate the political and social field. So I think it's important that we address this topic. I think it's important we dive into it. And it's something I was kind of not sure if I even wanted to approach because it's the hype train that everyone's on. And honestly, I think I've missed most of the hype train, so at least no one can say that's what I'm trying to do. But I really do want to just address this topic. And as a pastor, like I said, it is so important to me that we stick to the truth. And I want to handle this delicately as well, because a lot of people have strong feelings about this and I mean very strong feelings. I mean, it's either you're for us or against us, no matter where you stand on this. And I think you guys will come, hopefully, if I can approach this topic properly, you guys might be able to walk away with a better understanding of how to stand behind this topic. So today I want to talk about the moral. As I mentioned, there's 3 different things to talk about: the moral, the institution, and the movement. All 3 of these things are distinct, and each one of these are different. And that's where a lot of the confusion comes when I see people arguing and hear people debating about this. Is one person doesn't like the institution, but then the other person equivocates it to the moral, and somebody who agrees with the moral but disagrees maybe with the movement. And so I think it's important we address this. Where should the Christian stand? Where should you as a Christian stand, and how can you go about it? Well, I will say this. First off, don't go in there instantly calling everyone a Marxist or calling everyone a racist. If someone believes in this movement or stands against this movement, it doesn't mean that they're racist, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're Marxist. Some people don't know all the different ins and outs of what's happening, and maybe possibly they're not a racist. Maybe possibly they're not a Marxist. Maybe possibly they have a different understanding than you. Maybe they know more than you in a certain topic. So as always, guys, it's important we have dialogue and discuss things with one another without tearing each other to shreds. But I will do my normal thing, which is I will be speaking boldly and I will be speaking straightforwardly, and I'm not going to pull any punches through this series. So you might disagree with me a lot in certain areas, and that's cool. You can leave the comment below, and I just ask that we keep it respectful and that we don't attack each other's character, but instead we attack the ideas, because I do truly want I have a heart that wants to bring unity, but also a unity through truth. So anyway, let's talk about the moral. The moral of Black Lives Matter is the moral that Black Lives Matter. Is that Christian, and is that something that Christians should get behind? Yes, of course, duh. If you say no, don't even subscribe to my channel, like run away. Actually, just kidding. Stay here because I want you to learn. But the thing is here is I think we can all agree that Black lives most certainly matter. And this impacts me personally because I have so many good Black friends. I have Black family members. I have my wife herself is Asian. I have people in my personal life that are impacted by this movement one way or the other. And I live downtown in a big city that, riots were taking place at. In fact, right around the corner from my house, I heard gunshots even. So this impacts my community as well. This is something that's really big for me to address. And like I said, I didn't want to just ride a hype train. So let's just talk about this. Can a Christian get behind the moral that Black Lives Matter? Well, most certainly. The Imago Dei is Genesis 1:27. I've mentioned this, and you'll hear me probably talk about this all the time, but it is so important. It just says, so God created man in his own image, and in the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. So obviously that Black Lives matter. We are all equally man, therefore we are all equally created in the image of God. There is no way around that. And if you are a Christian, you cannot sit there and hold someone's race over their head and think that they're somehow less important than you. That is unbiblical, it's ungodly, and it's untruthful. And after all, Jeremiah puts it perfectly in chapter 13, verse 23, which is, can the Ethiopian change his skin or the leopard his spots? The whole point is they can't change who they are, but they are all equal before God. So the point is here, guys, is that we need to make sure that we are standing behind at least the proper morals. I, as a Christian, believe that every life is precious before God, and any life that is taken is a tragedy. Now, sometimes there's justification for taking a life, right? If somebody is attacking you and you have to fight back and they happen to, die because you had to defend yourself, that is different. There's a reason why there's plenty of scriptures that talk about, if, for example, Jesus said, if a man does not have a sword, let him sell his cloak and buy one. There's this whole thing in the Old Testament. You really see that Israel had to go to war for righteousness quite a few times. One might say that even the war against the Nazis, right? That was a righteous war. We were stopping the oppressive. We were stopping the oppressive in favor of the oppressed. So guys, we need to make sure that we are standing in proper morality. And if you as a Christian, at the moment you hear Black Lives Matter, get instantly triggered, I would need you to just ask yourself, why are you upset? Are you upset because of the statement, or are you upset because of the movement? I do believe that most Christians get upset because of the institution and the movement. That there's a reason why a lot of Christians won't stand behind it. And that is one of the things we're going to be addressing here in the next part of this series. But if you look at another human and you think that they are somehow less valuable than you, then you yourself are part of the problem in our society. And I will say that there are racist Christians. I know people who claim the name of Christ and are racist, which apparently they don't pay attention to the story of the Good Samaritan, because the whole thing of the Good Samaritan was that people were prejudiced against other types of people, and that we ought to help one another despite those differences. That's what Jesus was talking about there, like being selfless, and those who were supposed to help, that you would think would help, didn't help, yet the guy who everyone was racist against was the one who helped. That was a major part of the moral of that parable. And so many times we Christians, I think, depending on what circles you are in, you can let the social pressures or tradition dictate your thought process as opposed to God's word and proper morality. I have seen this there at Crown College and Fairhaven Baptist College. I've seen it both where racism kind of was there, and they would say that it's not. Like, oh no, it's not. But yet you could not date someone outside of that race, outside of your own race, we're all human race, but ethnicity, okay, bear with me, I'm using cultural words, but you couldn't date somebody like that outside of your own. Or they also said if a father was like, nope, I don't want my daughter to marry a black man and she's white, or a black father didn't want his son to marry a white girl, that was the father's authority to do that. And that right there is going against God's morality. And again, you are called to obey God's morality over man's, even if it's your family. So Christian, I want to urge you that the Black lives most certainly matter. And I want to still find the group outside of maybe the KKK or neo-Nazis that would say that Black lives don't matter. And I don't really see Christians saying that Black lives don't matter. Now you can say that, well, they're saying it through these other means. Well, let me at least jump into later on, let's go into the movement itself and let's talk about the institution itself. Let's address each one of their points one by one and go through it, because I think that's going to be helpful to many Christians. But otherwise, today's video is simple. Black lives do matter. The moral of the story is true. The moral is absolutely true. We're all equally created in the image of God. We all bleed red. God looks at us all as equally valuable. He looked at Moses' Ethiopian wife as the same as he would a Jewish woman because they are all God's children. So anyway, thank you guys for watching this. Obviously, this is the simple video. The next videos are going to be a little bit more in depth, but I wanted to give you guys a decent starting point, and I think it helps kind of create some structure as opposed to doing a whole hour-long singular video on this topic. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like and sub, guys, please. If you would even buy me a coffee, please go to our Patreon page and go ahead and give there, because this is all self-funded. We want to start doing this more regularly. We have plans for the channel, but obviously that makes it difficult because we just honestly need funding. We want to get better equipment. We want to do this better. So if you would be willing to do that, please do that. And if you can't, that's fine. Just like it, subscribe to the channel, and share the videos. Do not be afraid to share these videos, because some people, they're like, oh man, sometimes you deal with dicey topics, and I agree with you, I just don't want to share it. Well, guys, that's the whole point of this, is bring unity through conversation. So thank you all for tuning into the Church Split. You all take care, and I'll see you in our next video.